We are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. It's been a minute, it's been a week. So today's a bit different. I'm not going to discuss the usual, just plugging my business, expos and B2B deep dive. And now, here's why your China strategy is broken. I'm not going to talk about those things too much. I really want to talk a bit about my life here in China into 2026 and share with you guys also some insights, but some of the stuff that's been happening in China recently, which I think will be relevant for all of you here. Very interesting. Because honestly, I've been getting a lot of messages recently from people asking not just about business and market entry, or they're already already in China. They're genuinely asking me what life is actually like here. So I thought I'd tell you guys kind of what life is like here and give you some insights. I'm going to touch on a few things that have been kind of on my mind. The vibe in China right now, and there is a vibe. There's a genuine optimism here right now that I haven't really felt probably since the kind of pre-special period, which we don't mention, that C word, time. And some stuff about social media, what's been happening, culture, movies, also some of the music and things like that that's been happening here, which is really interesting. There's been some big Western films coming out in China, which is the Michael Jackson one, the Devil Wears Prada 2, and there's a Super Mario movie, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I'm yet to see, but I've seen the first two, and I did a video about it on my social media. I did a post about it on LinkedIn, and I have done a funny British by the hand video, which you guys can check out. It's my latest video on the Chinese social media on Xiaohongshu, Red Note, Weixin Shiping, and it's also on Douyin. I've put it on YouTube as well. YouTube. It's a short, and I put it on Instagram, even though my Instagram's only got about 350 fans, whereas in China I've got 300,000 up in the last 24 hours, which is it's about a delayed bullet train in China that somehow has got over 10,000 impressions really quickly, which on LinkedIn, like getting 10,000 impressions really quickly is an interesting one. It reminded me sometimes that the simplest content just hits the hardest. Literally, my LinkedIn post is me doing this face with the board behind me, talking about how the train is late. But actually, in hindsight, it wasn't late because we made the time up afterwards. But let's get into that. There's LinkedIn posts that I've done recently. This has just blown up literally in the last 24 hours. So at the weekend, I traveled to a certain city in China. And I did a post about it. And this particular post, and by my recent standards, it absolutely flew. Like usually I hit 10 to 20,000 impressions, views, you could say, on a LinkedIn post over some time, but not in 24 hours. So this particular post just like boom. And for me, Western social media is something I'm still getting to grips with. I understand how Chinese social media works. I understand Xiaohongshu, Red Note. I understand Weixin Shiping. I understand Douyin. I know what Chinese audiences like, whether it's B2B or B2C. But Instagram and TikTok, I've just never quite been able to crack that code. LinkedIn a little bit, but because LinkedIn is different. I have kind of two personas. I've got the Daniel you're speaking to right now, which is the LinkedIn professional businessman in China, strategist, blowing up companies here in China. Then I've got my funny British character, the Bai De Han, the Hundol character, who's like a cross between, I'd say, James Bond and Mr. Bean, where I've been dancing and doing funny videos and things like that. That's more I would say the real creative side of me is the by the hand character. And I really love doing that character. It's good fun. Obviously, I don't walk around China saying things like, how does one sound more British? I don't walk around doing that, although it is kind of like a trademarked phrase that I came up with. But I want to talk about this post that I did on LinkedIn because it's absolutely blown up. It's already hit 10,000 impressions and it's just going. Lots of discussions about it as well. And feel free to check it out. It's literally a post about catching a bullet train in China. And I've always been amazed by how public transportation operates here in China because it's on another level. And what this post actually about is nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing about market entry framework or growing a business in China, although it did have a kind of a China edge to it. It's nothing about expos, no strategic insight. It was just about a bullet train being late. Gaotie Chudao. Sorry, not Chudao. Wan. That's it. I was waiting for a bullet train in Shanghai at Hongqiao, and it was delayed. And I've never had that before in China. I've never had a delayed bullet train here in China. I've taken hundreds of bullet trains probably in my time. Hundreds? Yeah, must be. And this is the first time in like over 10 years that I had a late bullet train. I know, foreigner problems in China. But I posted about it because it's at this point, it's something that never happens. And I really wanted to showcase something the West really needs to learn about public transportation. Is in China, it's really cost effective. It's always on time. It's always convenient. There's some things I don't like I hate those shushu that don't just, those uncles that just can't put the headphones in. And I think some of the behavior on the trains is bad, but that could happen in the UK. It's happening around the world when I've traveled. But the Chinese high-speed rail network is one of the greatest engineering feats and operational achievements of the modern world. You could say, you know, these trains, they run like clockwork. And when one is late, it's genuinely remarkable enough to comment on in here in China. And the funny thing that happened, which was really interesting, is we actually made the time back up. So although the train was late, by the time I got to my destination, I was actually early. So it wasn't a complaining post. It was more just showing like this doesn't happen in China. Like the trains are never late. They're on time. I know Japan always has that reputation for like trains are always on time. China also has that reputation. The trains are never late here. The maglev, that's a good question. Do I use the maglev? I don't usually use the maglev. Usually when I leave the airport in Hongqiao or Pudong, I usually take a taxi, although I've been using a lot more public transportation recently. I've been using, I've been going to some expos. I know I said I wouldn't mention expos, but I'm gonna, out in Hongqiao and Pudong, and I have been using the subway more, the DTA. And funny story actually about the DTA. Sometimes I'm quite observational. I just kind of watch people because I don't like to use my phone when I'm on the train because it's just so unhealthy. It's like you're there and doing this. But I went to an expo a week or two, what was it, a couple of weeks ago. And the way that I dealt with the time was I just walked from one train, like from one end to the other. Like if you do like a few laps, like 3 or 4 laps, I know it can be a little bit dangerous, but I did do that. And yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, anyway, this post, this bullet train post, people loved it. People are loving it right now. As I'm speaking, I can see people just like pinging my LinkedIn, loving it, giving it a like, because it was real. It was a real story. It was specific. It wasn't AI. It was something that people could relate to, picture, because in the UK, they can definitely relate to that, trains being late. But in China, not really, because it doesn't really happen. And it taught me something about really being clear with your content, like make it as real and human as possible. Like AI content right now, I think is shit. It's not good. and it's just AI slop, as I like to call it. And I actually, like, all my posts, I'm going to be honest with you, all of my posts that I write on LinkedIn, all the content and stuff, it comes from my brain. I write it, and then AI will go in and kind of tidy it up or change some of the English. But the original idea came from me. Like, I'm not telling AI, hey, write a post on this. Like, I actually do it mostly myself. And it taught me something, that the best content is written in like 5 minutes. So if you look at any great music or ideas are generally written in 5-10 minutes. You tend to find that. And the posts that you agonize over hours and days, ones that are like perfectly structured and argument and carefully chosen data, sometimes they land, but I find that most of the time, sometimes they don't. Most of the time they don't. The one that you just dash off in a couple of minutes, just there you go, done. They're the ones that blow up, and that's something that happened with this one. So there's a lesson for everyone out there, like doing content, because you've got to be doing content nowadays. You can't just be, you can't really just be in the shadows anymore. Like, if you want to compete with AI, because you're going to have to compete with AI. Well, when I say compete with AI, I don't mean actually try and beat it. I mean that you're up against AI. So you need to learn how to prompt and learn how to use it to your advantage, because AI is going to replace a lot of jobs, and know how to utilize it. Everyone's focusing on my looks. I don't know why can't you focus on my brain, on what I'm talking about, guys? I'm sorry, I'm just looking at all the comments. I don't, I'm not very reactive to comments, but sometimes they are hilarious because people just don't know me. Like, if you knew the real me, you wouldn't be writing all of this stuff. Or if you met me on the street, some of this stuff. Yeah, that's a good comment. AI doesn't tell the truth always, but tells you what you like. That's a really good comment. I like that, because it can go into psychosis. It can give you nonsense, so, which a lot of people do nowadays. But the deeper point about that post, and it's something that I want to use as a jumping off point for today, is that China works, right? Things just get done here. Shit just gets done here. The infrastructure works, the systems work, the city works. And after 10 years here, it's easy to take that for granted, which I don't want to do. But it's genuinely remarkable. I just wanted to make an overall comment about this post that I've done. I might put it on my Pengil trend. I might post it on my WeChat Moments and see if it has the same effect. I might do it after this live stream, actually. And I'm going to need to get rid of some people, because I've got some people saying some quite nasty things. I don't know why. When people put weird comments, I just get rid of them. I only focus on the fans. I don't usually delete comments off of my videos, because it actually builds the algorithm. I actually had one of my team members came to me today and they said, Daniel, I've been doing content, and this was a really interesting thing. They said that a couple of their friends have been quite negative about their posts. And I said, well, firstly, they're not your friends. If your friends are it's good for your friends to give you feedback about what you're up to. But if your friends are not supporting you on your content, then they're not your friends. Your friends would support you no matter what. Obviously, as long as you're not saying anything too bad and you're trying to bring value to the world and entertainment, then that's fine. But the advice I gave them, let me put it up for you guys, because they were finding it really hard, because it's the first time they're doing content. And the advice I gave them, let me find what I actually wrote to this person, because I'm not going to say any names, but this was what they wrote to me. They said, "Hi Daniel, I hope you're having a good weekend. I wanted to ask you about something personal. I can share this with you because I'm not naming any names, but personal to me. So take all the time you need to respond. I'm growing as a micro influencer, and some of my friends are following me on social media. Some of them have come up to me and been like, your posts are so hilarious, and similar remarks, quite disparaging remarks. I'm not taking these to heart at all, which obviously this person was, otherwise they wouldn't have said it, because I don't take posts to heart. I'm doing it for the experience and because I care, but I do feel a little mocked for it. Their comments don't change the fact that I'm fully committed to producing content, but have you dealt with anything similar? A story of my life every day. I get this. How do you navigate the light-hearted criticism, especially when you may not have seen any results from the content that you're making? And my response to this, because I do get that as a common question, like how do you deal with hate? And I wrote, it comes from a point of jealousy from their side. They want what you have. All influencers get mocked, but they are not doing the great things that you are doing. If they were truly your friends, they wouldn't mock you. They would support you. You've only been doing this for a short time. I've been doing this for 15 years, which is true. For LinkedIn, I've been doing 15, but my social media is 6 years. You can't build a business in a week. It takes years. If you're getting a reaction, you're doing something right. Also, your friends, they're not our target. They don't have money. Haters gonna hate. Listen to me and the support. Don't listen to the jealousy and the mockery, because they're mocking themselves. Keep up the consistency. I wrote something like that. And it really resonated with me, that, because I get it. I get like weird people commenting weird stuff sometimes. And it's like, well, so what? Every famous person in history has had some sort of bad comments. You can't go through life not having it. Even your favorite stars, whoever you watch, whether it's a band or a singer or a movie star, TV star, any kind of celebrity, they've gone through hate. It's not possible. But if your friends are not supporting what you do, then maybe you need to look for new friends. I've definitely cut people out of my life in the last few years, people that just didn't support me. I've got a really good friend from my old days at university in England who contacted me. I've known him since 2012. So I've known him for 14 years. And although we don't speak every week, he messaged me this morning, said, Daniel, really love the content. So proud of you for what you've done in China. You've kind of positioned yourself as a China quote unquote expert, even though I don't consider myself an expert. I'm still learning. Really proud of you. And that's the kind of people you want in your life. You don't want people that are just going to, punch you down, which is actually, from a British perspective, that's kind of a British thing. This is a big difference between Brits and Americans. If a Brit is driving a Ferrari in London, people are going to scratch that, right? Or if I said, I want to be prime minister, people in England are like, oh, you're stupid. You can never make it. You loser. But in America, they have this kind of belief that anything is possible. Like if you're driving a Ferrari, people say, hey, how did you get that Ferrari? And they really champion success. Well, anyone can be a president, right? It's that kind of thinking. And there's a bit of that in China. China is, they support each other. Sometimes I do wish in England we're a bit more like that. It's just a part of our culture. It's odd, really. It's odd. I think it's because it comes from a point of arrogance, and we used to be great and now we're not. Speaking of China, I want to talk about the optimism that's in the air here. And it's something that is harder to quantify, but impossible to ignore if you spend time here. There is a real optimism in China right now that I haven't felt since the good old days of that special period. And I want to be careful how I say this, because I'm not going to pretend everything is perfect here, but it's a lot better living here than in the UK. By far, on another level. I get a lot of Chinese people saying, 你喜欢中国吗? Like, do you like China? Do you like living here? It's like, absolutely. Like, if I didn't like it, I'd go home. But I'd be going home to somewhere like England, where not too great right now. The opportunity, I think, for Chinese people out there, I think for Chinese people, and maybe some foreigners, the property market in China, because I'm not going to sugarcoat this, there are some things in China that haven't been great. Like the property market has had a rough few years, and that's real here in China. You can't deny that. There are geopolitical pressures, what's happening, trade tensions, all this kind of stuff. And anyone who knows anyone, and anyone who says that none of that matters is either ill-informed or selling something, or neither. And I'm a realist. So I look at what's happening, and then I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just look at the facts. That's what I do. But I'm going to speak anecdotally, just generally here, and what I'm observing here in China. The mood on the street, and I mean this literally, and just speaking with people, the actual mood when I'm interacting with people in China, because I speak to a lot of people. I speak to a lot of strangers, and that's what I love about here. You can talk to a stranger and they don't judge you here. They're generally like, that culture in England is dead now, where you say, "Oh, good morning," people kind of look at you like that. But in China, I've noticed that in the mornings now, if I say "早上好," if I say good morning to people on the street, they say, sometimes they're a bit shy, but they're not judgmental, which I really love. But the general feeling here in Shanghai right now is really positive. It's upbeat, it's forward looking. Part of it is economic. The Chinese economy is growing. Consumer spending is recovering. The technology sector is buzzing. I mean, look at the robots and the AI. I mean, if you've seen the police robots at the moment, there's these police robots that are on like a little car. Really fascinating stuff. But look at the AI that's happening. I mean, you've seen obviously DeepSeek and domestic AI development, the clean energy transfer and transition. These are not abstract government talking points. These are conversations that are really happening amongst people and amongst businesses. And actually there's movement. That's what I love about living here. Like, stuff gets done. I think it's really interesting. And I will mention the expos. I know I said I wouldn't, but I listen to a lot of conversations, and I just think Chinese buyers are really want to interact with foreign businesses. But it's all a part of, and I had a conversation with a business today, it's all about qualification. There's still this thinking in the West that like China copies everything. That's not true. There are some Chinese companies that do that. There are some that genuinely they're serious buyers, they've got budget and they want to buy. And it's your job to qualify them, or work with someone like me who can do that kind of stuff. Part of it is cultural confidence as well. There's a real pride right now in China with Chinese innovation, Chinese capability that feels different to even a few years ago. We don't have that in England. English people are like, yeah, come on, England. Like, where's that feeling? I think the last time we had that was probably maybe the football. When was it? We were in the Euros. Was that 4 or 5 years ago? And then plus Euros final, the football. And then probably the Olympics. When's that? 2012. So 14 years ago was the last time England kind of felt like, come on, let's do something with Great Britain. But that's just gone now. The assumption that the best technology or the best products are purely just Chinese or just purely West is not true. And I think there's it's going either way. That's the point I want to make. And that's being challenged seriously. There are serious Chinese buyers that want to buy Western products. I mean, I'm working with a company right now that they manufacture things in the UK for Chinese companies. That's unheard of. Like, it's usually Western companies just coming to China to manufacture things. But I'm seeing things go the other way now. And Southeast Asia is a huge opportunity. I get a lot of people asking me, are you in China? I think that's a really stupid question. Like, if you look at my content, I had someone on WeChat the other day saying, "Hey, how's things in the UK? How have you been?" I'm like, I haven't been in the UK since last November. I've been in China for 6 months, right? I know I was in Australia in December. I will grant you that, but I've essentially been in mainland China since January, right? If you just have a look at my content, it's pretty obvious. That's a point on you do a lot better than local Brits. I would love to have more British friends, like here in China. I don't meet many of them. That's the one thing. I would love to be more in with Brits just generally. I guess a lot of them must be English teachers, but I don't meet a lot of entrepreneurs. I would love to meet more British entrepreneurs and connect with them. The issue with the British network, and maybe it's just me, but I it's not a feel thing. It's what I've witnessed in 10 years. We're not a very cohesive group of people. Like when Chinese people are together, you guys are like a unit, right? You're stronger together. You get that with Koreans as well. Koreans, when they see each other, they go, oh, they love each other. But British people, when we see each other, we're not like, oh my God, you're British. I'm British. Great. Like there's just like this kind of reserved, oh God. So I'm not saying it's all people, but it's something that maybe it's just me. Maybe I seem to witness that. But I'm friendly of everyone. I try to, but I generally don't have many British friends here. I have most of my friends are Chinese, Australian, American, German. I have lots of German friends here. I'd love to have more British friends. I'd love to be invited to more things. I did have that the other day. Someone said, I don't invite you to many things, Daniel, because you look very busy. I think that's bullshit when people say they're busy. It doesn't mean anything. So I've been swearing too much today. I need to stop saying that word. But I think it's nonsense when people say that they're busy. I think there's always time in the day to drop someone a message, or not necessarily in a day, but once a week or once every few weeks or once a month. It's no one is that busy. Is anyone else live streaming right now? Like probably not, right? So it doesn't take much to just drop someone a message. We all sit on the toilet every day, and probably most people use their phones. So honestly, I want to talk about Shanghai in the spring. This time, May time is amazing. June, July, things will start to get very hot, very muggy. So this is the time to come if you were going to come to Shanghai. And the weather's really good at the moment. I usually go for a walk late afternoon and just bathe in that beautiful Shanghai sun. The city looks incredible right now. There's a reason for people who come here for the first time often look really stunned when they're here because like, oh, wow. And I still have that. I'm wowed by the city. I don't generally go down to Lujiazui and see the Pearl Town go, wow, I haven't been to Waitan, actually, the Bund, in a long time. I need to probably go for a nice walk. But people saying they don't invite you because you're boring. What am I? I mean, look at my content. I've got lots of anecdotes. I think I can make people laugh as well. And yeah, I think I've mentioned this a few times. I'm seeing a lot more foreigners. Like if you walk around Xintiandi right now, if you were to walk around Xintiandi, there'll be loads of Koreans, but there'll be also loads of Germans, Europeans, Brits. Also, I can hear different languages just around. So it's a really good time. I think China's going to crush it with their tourism this year. I think they'll actually beat America when it comes to tourism. I think there's going to be a lot of I think there's a lot of people I don't really hear a lot of people say, oh, I'd love to go to America. I'm hearing a lot of people say that about China. So the property market, I did want to talk about that. People ask me about the property market. And thank you for the follows, guys. I see lots of people following me, which is fantastic. Oh, someone asked me, am I a TikTok refugee? Absolutely not. I think I'm the only content the more than 100,000 fan content creator that did a TikTok refugee video about, hey, great to see TikTok people, and it didn't do well. I think I'm the only guy that did that. Everyone else did like a, hey, welcome TikTok refugees, and their videos just blew up. I think I'm the only one that did one where it didn't blow up. So I did do one. You guys can go find it. I've got one of my phones is about to die, so I've got to plug this bad boy in. But no, I'm not a TikTok refugee guy, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I don't know. I mean, a lot of those people went back to TikTok. I think you guys supported all those TikTok refugees onto Xiaohongshu. Then they all left, and it's like, surely you should give love to people like me that stayed. Anyway, so the property market in China right now. Let me say something about this because I think it's a really interesting opportunity perspective. Because the prices are so low right now, you might be able to find a decent deal, particularly in Shanghai. But the other side of that is people are not selling. So you've really got to be clever about that. I've got to get this sorted. Hold on. Is it the wrong plug? It is as well. I don't know if that's going to... Can you guys give me 2 seconds? Oh, you can see I'm really well prepared. I need to get a plug for one of these phones. Give me 2 seconds. Apologies about that, beautiful people. Sorry. I had to get my little charger. So I want to talk about the property market in China. And we're talking about the residential property market here, not commercial property. Because in China, it's been under a little bit of pressure because the prices in many cities, and it's the same in the UK right now. Prices, it's interesting that there's a lot of parallels in the UK and in China with the property markets. You know, it can't, you think about markets, they can't just go like up, unless it's like a, I don't know, Tesla stock or an Amazon stock. That's the only thing that will go up and up and up and up. Oh, sorry, guys, I'm just going to move this around. So this is what people always don't understand with when a property market is down, everyone thinks, oh, there's loads of opportunities. It's like, yeah, but no one's selling at the same time. So you've really got to be clever with how you go about it and do your research. So prices in many cities in China have come down from their peaks. Some developers have had well-publicized difficulties, and this is real, and it's affected, you know, a lot of things in China and investors who have heavily exposed to property. But here is the flip side. I want to talk about the opportunity here because if you are a Chinese or an international buyer, long-term investor who's been watching from the outside and waiting, this is arguably the most interesting entry point in a decade, because when everyone's selling, that's when the value is, right? So property in Shanghai is probably at an all-time low right now. So there are opportunities there, but at the same time, you just got to really do your research. So, you know, as a global city, world-class infrastructure, schools, massive growing economy, you can't go wrong with Shanghai, right? But the other cities I can't really comment on. At prices below the peak, with a currency that has room to move, I think that's a really interesting opportunity. The RMB still has like room to move. See, I know a little bit about economics and investment. I know a little bit. And that's a conversation worth having, you know, property investment. If that's something on your radar, definitely worth having a look at. I am not a property advisor. I must must add that, but I think it's worth having a look into. I'm not saying buy, sell, sell, sell. I'm saying go and have a look, do your research. Please don't come to me for any specific investment advice. You can give me your money for free. I always say this to people that smoke. I would say rather than buy those cigarettes right now and smoke, give me the money and I'll make you feel more relaxed. That's what I always say to them. 别抽烟, okay, 让你放松. So, but as someone who lives here and watches this market, the pessimism around Chinese property feels overdone relative. You know, when people were moaning a few years ago, like, oh, it's not as good as it used to be. Then yeah, that's kind of gone now. Right, guys. Shall I deal with some questions? There's been a lot of and that's not true, by the way. International buyers can't buy in the Chinese market. I mean, I'm an international buyer technically, right? I know an international person can't just come here and buy a property, but of course, there's always ways to buy a property, right? So, talk a little bit about what do I actually do? I've had that question quite a lot. What do you actually do in China? And I did do a live stream about this before, where I cleared up a lot of confusion and people were not quite sure what I am. Am I an influencer? Am I a sales guy? What do I actually do? So number one, I'm a businessman. I have my own business here in China. And I really want to clear this up because I still get messages regularly like, you're a Wahong, you're an influencer. I was like, no, that's literally like 5-10% of what I do. I cannot live off my social media, honestly speaking. A lot of influencers will lie and say they make loads of money. No, I know some that have got a lot more fans than me, millions of fans, and they're struggling right now because they didn't pivot. They didn't plan for people not using as much social media as they used to. Okay, that's interesting. Hold on, I thought I was going to sneeze. You have to be a resident taxpayer living in China for at least a year, and there must be an owner occupied, not for spec. Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that. See, like I said, I'm not a property expert, so. What I meant was, I didn't mean like a random Laowai foreigner just buys from abroad. I meant, you have to be kind of settled here to buy a property. Like I can, because I've been paying tax for so many years now. So I really want to be clear about what I do, because I still get people, even though I did a whole live stream on it the last time. I have my own consultancy business, China Strategist. That's what I am. I know how to help companies that have got pain in China, international companies that are entering or they've already been here for many years. This is 90% of what I do. Companies that have got budget, they've got money for China, not freebies. I don't work with companies that just want free advice because they're always just going to milk you dry. I am not an English teacher. I still get people saying, are you an English teacher? The only situation I would teach English is I have a couple of clients that I speak to every now and again. They pay me almost like a lawyer. Like if you were to sit down with a lawyer for an hour, they would charge minimum, 3,000 RMB, maybe 300 pounds or more. I have some clients that they literally want to speak English and learn more about how to do business in the UK and things like that. I don't do anything less than probably 1,000 RMB an hour. And some people say that's way too expensive. If you want to learn for 200-300 RMB, there's plenty of English teachers out there that will take that. Not me. Firstly, because I'm not an English teacher. If I'm quote unquote teaching, I would sit down with a client and teach them about business, life. I've actually got a Chinese client right now who's got a bit of a belly, and I got him to go to the gym and change his life, sort his life out. So I do that from time to time, but I'm not an English teacher. I need to be very clear about that. And a lot of people use my channel just for learning English. Fair enough. But my channel, the funny British character channel, is more about lifestyle. Like it's funny, 很逗,很搞笑. Like it's kind of, that's what I do. I'm a China strategist and consultant. That's the best way to describe it. So I help mainly foreign businesses that are entering, or they've already been in China for months, years. I've got a client that's been here for over 40 years now, American company. So I also help Chinese companies that are going abroad. So Chinese companies that want to go to England, Southeast Asia. I only work with people that have got money. I need to be very clear about that. I only work with companies that have got upfront budget. I don't deal with all this, revenue share and commission and money and commission. Brilliant. But I get companies all the time saying, let's do a commission deal. I am not that guy. Do not approach me about commission deals, because I'll always be chasing the money. Right? I can deliver, but what I find when you do commission deals is you deliver the value, and then you're always waiting weeks, months to get the money back, even though you've delivered the value. So I just say to companies, you pay me up front and I will deliver. That's it. That's how I work. That's my rules, my way. If you don't like it, go find someone else. But what this means in practice is I work with international, mainly B2B companies, mainly, although I do other industries. They're mainly from UK, Europe, North America, a little bit in Southeast Asia, Australia. I don't really work with other continents. I'd love to, if they have budget, who want to grow their business in China. That's mainly what I do. People say that the Chinese economy and the market is going down. Complete nonsense. I've had more inquiries in the last 5 months than I did all of last year. Fascinating, right? All of last year, I've had more inquiries in the last 5 months than I have compared to all of last year. So the business is obviously going up, and I've signed more clients this year. Or connect me with people. I think if you connect with people, you should pay people money. I mean, building an actual scalable, sustainable, revenue generating presence in the Chinese market, or if you're a Chinese company going abroad, building that abroad. But you can't do that without money, without budget and pain and wanting to do things go. Now, people sometimes assume, because I talk about WeChat and Expos and Baidu, that I'm a marketing person. Actually, marketing is part of it. And you can't grow in China without it. And it's actually the first thing that you do, setting up a proper China digital presence. And, you got to show up at trade shows, at exhibitions. And without content that speaks to a Chinese professional, a Chinese decision maker, and the audience speaks Mandarin, right? Although I'm speaking English right now, it's because I'm live streaming across multiple platforms. If I was purely to do a live stream on WeChat and RedNote, I'd probably just speak Chinese. But the marketing, the dreaded M word that companies always hate, and it's the first thing that they cut within a business, which is just stupid, is the big M word is the first thing you do in any business. But it's something bigger. What I'm actually doing really is business development, it's sales, it's growing companies. The goal is sales growth. That's really what I do. It's building that China ecosystem. The question, are you interested in acting as an agent of a Chinese company or factory? Of course, I'm always interested in sales, but the problem is most Chinese agencies that approach me, they always say, let's work on commission. I don't do that. You give me a retainer, give me money up front to grow your business, and I'll do it. That's kind of what I focus on. I don't just work on commission. Like some industries that works. I think if you're a property agent in Dubai, probably working on commission. Although I don't really agree with that. I still think you should get a little bit of a salary to have some buffer to work on, some security. But in the China ecosystem, the first thing you do is your digital infrastructure. Before you do distributors and working with all that, the right distributor relationships, obviously regulatory positioning is all important as well. You've got to have all that stuff, pricing strategy for this market. But what I really do is helping companies understand how Chinese buyers make decisions. what does credibility look like with a Chinese decision maker? How to build trust in the market? Because how you build trust in China isn't just going to KTV and eating food and hey, ganbei, like that. Some Chinese businesses done that way, but the real thing, you think about it, is that it's staring everyone in the face. It's like everyone's got this drug, everyone's got this phone in their hand. What are they doing? They're all looking at it, right? That's your digital positioning. That's the first thing you do. So I think getting a lot of love. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the comments. There's WeChat. I have 2,000 people here right now. TikTok, I have 20. That's not great. And Xiaohongshu, I've got. Why is Xiaohongshu only 50 people? But it's the most amount of fans that I have. It's very odd. And then YouTube, I've got 20. Cool. So the sectors that I work with, someone asked me about which companies you deal with. It's life sciences, biotech, healthcare, semiconductors, manufacturing of any kind, anything that's in your room right now, tech, it's universities, it's student accommodation around those universities. It could be a bit of tourism, a little bit of B2C, but B2C is very hard. Unless a company has got a budget of, I'd say, £30,000, let's say 300,000 RMB or more, and they really need to invest a lot, that's an absolute minimum. You're not going to crack this market. You just can't. You can't build the market here without a proper budget. And I've had a couple of people recently saying, oh, we don't have a budget for China. Find the money. I always find the money. I always manage to maybe you got to look at your current finance and think, maybe we can save some money here or cut this expense. And on The Devil Wears Prada recently, I saw that the second movie, I'm not giving away a spoiler, but they even have to fly economy, right? Which I see some people doing in the West, flying business class, which is fine. But maybe they could be channeling a little bit of that budget more towards marketing. So, yeah, I do have my own consultancy and I work closely with other specialist kind of agencies that can grow the markets here in China and deliver on the ground. So that's what I do. It's not just marketing that I do. It's not just expos. It's not just PR. It's China market growth strategy end to end, mainly for B2B companies. And it's also helping Chinese companies go abroad if they have money. If they've got budget, then they're my kind of company. People that are serious about the market. People are asking me, I should do my live stream later. No, because I usually go to bed around 9:30 because I've got to get up at 5:30. And a lot of people say, oh, that's too early. I'm like, well, I'm healthy. Boom. So that's why I have a bit of an earlier bedtime. And another big opportunity increasingly is Southeast Asia, because there's a whole conversation to be had around the opportunities that are opening up there. Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Singapore, Philippines. These markets are moving fast and they're very maturing. They're very kind of new. A lot of companies I work with already in China are now asking the same question about Southeast Asia, saying, hey, do you do Southeast Asia? So I've got a partner there that can help. It's a natural next step. It's something that I'm spending some more time on. Right, now for something completely different, guys. I do want to leave some questions at the end, but something a little bit about, I want to talk a little bit about the Western culture in China that I've seen, particularly in the film industry recently. Oh. I love you guys, Red Note. I love the Red Note fans because Red Note is my biggest channel. Believe it or not, Red Note, I have over 170,000 fans. Oh, people are saying they're being left out. Maybe I'm looking too much at my WeChat. Sorry, guys. I've got multiple platforms here. I've got YouTube. I've got WeChat. I've got TikTok. I will try and give you guys some more love. Let me switch you guys around a bit. Here we go. Let's put the red, because the Red Note guys feel left out. They're all crying. And I'll try and move you guys. I don't mind being blamed. But by the way, a lot of people, I don't get offended by things. The only thing I get offended by is if you say something bad about my king. You say something bad about King Charles, I go mental. No, I'm joking. That's what I say about. There are still British people that are very royalist. So if you say something bad about the king, oh, okay, there we go. That should be better. Okay, guys, red note, you're there. Okay, so I'm going to shift gears a bit here because I want to talk about something I find genuinely fascinating, which is kind of combining fashion, music, movies. Western films are back in Chinese cinemas. So the big three, I've seen two of them, I haven't seen the other one. They're quite significant. You've had the Michael movie, the Michael Jackson movie. You've had the Devil Wears Prada 2. I love the first one, and the second one I'll talk about. And then you've got the Super Mario Galaxy movie, which I want to talk a little bit about. I know it's not that business related, but it is somewhat. The Michael biopic, which is the fastest growing, I think, in history, at the box office. It's a big deal because I was always a big fan of Michael Jackson growing up, honestly. When I was a teenager, I was the Michael Jackson kid at school. People were like, oh, he likes Michael Jackson. And I know a lot about his life because I read some books and watched lots of videos growing up. And it's interesting because he's always had a massive following in China, but in China, they don't really know about the controversial side. And even in the West, a lot of people don't know about the controversial side. Now, genuinely, he's an icon, right? He's iconic across many generations, and you can't doubt the ingenuity and the music. However, and I think it's produced serious numbers in China. I'm talking tens of millions in China. A big part of that box office will come from China. But the movie itself, although I really enjoyed the performances of Jafar Jackson, who is Jermaine Jackson's son, he's actually Michael's nephew, was really good. I did I think it's fact that it was whitewashed. There was a lot of controversy. The big thing I think they missed out, not just the allegations, but the big thing they missed with MJ, with Michael Jackson, is in 1985, he buys the Beatles catalog. He buys the Beatles music. What an ingenious move, right? And he's kind of ruthless about it. The way he goes about it with his lawyer, it wasn't, I think he bought it for like $50 million, which by today's standards is cheap. But I did. That got missed, and the movie ends in 1987 with Bad, and then all of a sudden it's like, so there was a lot. I know they touched on a few controversial parts, but I did think if they'd shown the controversial parts, a bit like the Elton John movie Rocket Man and the Queen movie, the Freddie Mercury Bohemian Rhapsody movie, that would have been a lot more balanced, right? And it's actually the true Michael Jackson. With Michael Jackson, you can't just show he's just amazing. There was the other side as well that is very dark, right? There's a very dark, and that Pepsi commercial is really life-changing for him because it kind of sets him on the road to the drugs and stuff. So that was something that I felt was a bit disappointing about the movie. It's worth a watch. I would say it's worth going along. I also did a post on this about how in China, I do find that when I go to the cinema, people can't just shut up. People can't just sit there for 2 hours and watch a movie. However, I'm going to talk about the second movie now. By the way, so the Michael movie is worth a watch. I would say, is it worth going to the cinema for? Maybe. Yeah. I mean, people making the point like all artists have had controversies. Can you separate the artist from the the person. I think it's always a tough one. Why am I sneezing in front of the camera? Yeah, I don't know why, I got a bit of a itchy nose. I don't know where that's come from. So I'm going to stop doing that. It's very rude. Apologies, guys. The second movie I watched at the weekend was the Devil Wears Prada sequel, The Devil Wears Prada 2. Now, that was a good movie. That's really, I think that's worth going to the cinema for. It's, honestly speaking, it's not quite as good as the first one. It's a pretty good attempt. It's got some funny moments. But the second movie, yeah, it was fun. It was, fashion, ambition, complicated relationship between success and sacrifice. Those themes, they really land in China, but I think they land around the world. So I think they got the tone right. I think that's going to do well in China. I mean, the Michael movie's done very well in China as well. But definitely worth a watch. But both of them are worth a watch. If I had to pick one, even as a Michael Jackson music fan, it's a tough one. I just felt like the Michael movie, if it had shown the controversy as well, even because the controversy they all said, oh, it doesn't start till the 90s. That's not true. There's a lot more stuff that happened in the 80s that they missed. And I'm a fan of the music. I'm a real fan of the music. I just think the life, nobody had his life. And that was something that I think would have made a more interesting watch, to show that he was almost like a tormented artist. He had the world at his feet, and then it just crumbled, right? But maybe the second movie will show more of that. I don't know how they're going to do that legally. That's going to be a tough one. Yes, people asking me, what am I doing right now? I've got a live stream on WeChat, on Xiaohongshu, Rednote, on TikTok, not Douyin, but Western TikTok, and I've got one for YouTube right here. So they're all flying right now. And the other movie would be the Super Mario one, the Galaxy one. I think that one's been out longer. I'll probably watch that one at home when it gets released. But it tells you something important, that Western cultural content, when it's the right content, and what I mean by that is it connects with Chinese audiences on a personal level. That's all people care about. Like, forget what the critics say. Forget what I'm saying. Maybe what I'm saying about the movie isn't true. Maybe you go along and you have a different perspective. But the point about going to the cinema is to escape. It's to turn your phone off, not watch my videos. I know what you guys are like when you go to the movies. It's to turn that phone off, put it in your pocket. That escapism, to get lost in a world. That's the point. So I recommend anyone watching this, turn your bloody phone off, right? Actually watch the movie. Don't talk as well in the movies. I even find that whispering really annoying. When people go, I find that really annoying. Talk about the movie after you're leaving. It's always a good talking point. So, yeah, shut up when you go to the movie. Although I did this post about that the other day, about people talking. The funny thing is, the Devil Wears Prada movie, there was not a squeak. I couldn't even hear a church mouse in there. But the Michael movie, it wasn't that people were singing along. It was people were like narrating the movie. And I find that really annoying. It's happened to me in the UK. I remember one of the Terminator movies years ago, there was like some kids in front being noisy. And when I told them in a nice, polite way, please be quiet, they look at you like you're the problem. You rarely get people go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. It's almost like they give you this look like you're the problem when you tell them. I thought about doing some content on this, like being in the cinema. But then if I film someone being loud in the cinema, I'm using my phone, which I'm promoting people not to do. Like I'm telling people to turn your phone off and put it in your pocket when you watch a movie. The other issue is some of the cinemas in China now, they've got a USB stick. So people literally will plug their phone in, and then that kind of encourages phone usage, and you have like a little light thing. But the point I want to make is, in China, the movies here, they find a massive, receptive, enthusiastic audience. And China is not closed to Western culture. I still get friends and family not family, so friends in the UK that are like, oh, China, like you guys, you get cut off from everything. Not true. I think the Devil Wears Prada movie, I think that came out first here in China before the West. So it's not true. Of course, there's some selective, decisions on certain movies, but the stuff here that resonates, it really does resonate. It'd be great to get anyone else's opinion. Has anyone seen the Michael movie, the Michael Jackson movie, or seen the Devil Wears Prada 2 or the Mario movie, the Super Mario? Be interesting. But there's a lesson here, the business implications. If you're trying to sell something in China, a product, service, a brand, B2B, B2C, whatever it is, university, the question is never can we get in? The question is, does what we're bringing actually connect, right? Is it actually going to grow a market? Is it going to move the needle? And I think with Chinese audiences, they're very receptive, whichever audience it is, whether it's a movie or you're selling a product or service. See how I spun that one? Really clever. Because the market will tell you very quickly, particularly in China, and very honestly, whether the answer is yes or no. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate it. You guys are amazing. I did want to wrap this up a little bit. I want to bring this all together because we've spoken for an hour now. But China in 2026 right now is a brilliant place to live and do business. And I'm not just saying that as a brainwashed foreigner. I'm saying that because I live here. I'm living it. I'm live streaming right now telling you this. I want to say that simply and clearly because it gets lost sometimes in the analysis and in the news. There's a lot of, as a certain individual would say, fake news out there about China, which is just not true. And China works. The city works. The people work. The people are lovely here. And I'm very lucky to live here. I'm a guest in this country and I have to respect its laws. And I think that gets lost sometimes when other people go to other countries, that you're a guest in their country. So I'm very privileged to live here. The food is incredible. It's safe. It's cheap. It's all the stuff that I lament, relative to global and comparable global cities around the world. It's convenient in a way that it spoils you completely. You take things for granted here. Chinese movies. Sorry, I didn't mention Chinese movies. I need to watch more Chinese movies. I'm a bit ignorant. I don't watch enough. I need to watch more. The latest one that I watched was, I'll get the Chinese name because a few of my friends were in the movie actually. They were in a movie called Detective Chinatown 1900. Some of my friends were in that movie from 2025. Tang Tan, Yi Zhou Ling Ling. Tang Tan, Yi Zhou Ling Ling. It had Wang Baoqiang, Liu Haoran, Chow Yun-fat, one of my favorite actors. I love Chow Yun-fat. I love him. What a great man, Chow Yun-fat. Previously known as Donald Chow. Interesting. Chow Yun-fat in Chinese is Zhou Yunfa. I love that guy. I hope to meet him one day. Anyway, a few of my friends were in that movie, and John Cusack. Some of my friends were in that movie. I got some really good friends that are in that movie. Actually, one of my friends, he's on the poster. One of my friends, he's not Chinese. If you see the poster, is he on the poster? Oh, no, he's not on the poster. Sorry, that's John Cusack. But yeah, I've got a few foreign friends that were in that movie. It's a great movie. I highly recommend to watch it. It's quite funny. It's a good movie. I mean, it made 500 million at the box office. It's a huge movie. I want to talk a bit about the Chinese people just before I wrap up. The positive, energetic. Everyone's lovely here. I don't meet rude people here. I meet shy people here, which can be deceptive, as in like it might come across rude, but no, the mood here is genuinely optimistic and in a way that I'm feeling happy for the first time, in a long time. So opportunities here. We talked about business, property, professional services, content. They are real and open right now for foreign companies who are serious about entering or already in China. And then Chinese companies going abroad. I always talk about this. I think there's a big opportunity for Chinese companies going abroad. And for entrepreneurs, for freelancers, for you guys to deliver value, I think it's a great opportunity. Honestly, for anyone considering making a move and wondering whether China is the right bet, it is. Come and find out for yourself. Fly here. It's super cheap. My social media is on a real journey at the moment, guys. If you guys can check out my latest videos, I did a video in Milan and a video in Italy, and I did a video in Michael Jackson Devil Wears Prada dancing video. Check that out. Please give it a like, give it a comment, give it some love. Watch it in full. Never just 1, 2, 3 swipe my content. Please give it a little bit of massaging. And I hope I've deep dived into actually what's happening here in China, because China is moving and it's moving fast, positively, with energy. And I think that is going to surprise a lot of people who haven't been here already. I mean, you think AI is changing things in the West. China, robotics, flying right now. And that energy, it's something you can either embrace. You can't fight against it. It's something you're going to have to really get on board. So everyone, I want to throw out, if anyone's got some final questions, I'll stay around for another 5 minutes or so. I am on LinkedIn and Weixin Shiping Hao, Xiaohongshu. I love you guys. I love you guys at WeChat. I love you guys on TikTok. I love you guys on YouTube. I have a Douyin as well. It's all the same. It's all Bai De Han, Bai Si De Bai, Dao De De, Han Li Yuan De Han. It's all the same. If you can't find me, like the characters are a bit difficult for people, it's just BAIDEHAN. So follow me, give my content some likes and comments. And that's pretty much me, right? That's pretty much me for today. So if anyone's got any questions, go ahead. I do have, I'm going to speak Chinese right now. 我有自己的粉丝群，在小红书和微信，我有自己的粉丝群。如果你感兴趣加入我的粉丝群，你可以私信我，然后我会发给你二维码，然后你可以扫一扫进去我的粉丝群。Cool. By hand, by the hand. It's by the hand. By 是的 by, 道德的的，汉里面的汉。And that's my social media channel. And then you can find me on LinkedIn. It's just Daniel Shanghai. You'll find me. And it's not just for learning English, guys. I don't want the English pests. I don't want people just learning English. I want people that really love me to follow me. That's who I want on my channel. That's a good question. What productions do you promote or sell? I'm open to any brand if I enjoy it. I would love to have a soda water brand, Suda Shui. I've worked with Nongfu Shui, the Nongfu company. I've worked with them before. I haven't got a bottle with me. I've worked with them, but I would love to work with because I drink a lot of soda water as an alternative to Coca-Cola. So if anyone knows one of those, I'd love to work with a soda water company because I drink a lot of it. Suda Shui. 我很喜欢喝苏打水. Any final questions, guys? Because I'm going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes. And you guys have been amazing. Which ethnic group are you? Ooh, would I be white, Anglo-Saxon, British? Although I did a bit of family history a couple of years ago. And apparently 400 years ago, my family came from France. So I'm actually originally French. A lot of British people are French anyway. Hence my name, Danielle. Calvin Klein, yeah, Calvin. I mean, I would love to be sponsored by Calvin Klein. Unfortunately, I actually bought this. I don't get a freebie. I used to work a lot with My Protein, the brand My Protein. I used to get a lot of clothes from them. They used to give me an allowance, a few thousand RMB a month, and I used to. Do I support LGBTQ? Right, I support all people. I love everyone. I support everyone. If you have a dream and you want to change the world for the better, I support that. I love you. What I mean. Mix with French and English. I guess so. I guess so. I've got a bit of Scottish blood in me. I've got a bit of Irish blood. Maybe even Genghis Khan, a bit of Mongolian. I'm surprised. As soon as I start talking about personal stuff, the amount of fans seems to drop off. That's funny. But anyway, guys, you can always direct message me if anyone's got any questions. And I really appreciate you guys, all of the support. Do check out my latest video because I put a lot of effort into those little short 30-second, 1 minute videos. And you guys are amazing. I really appreciate the support. It means a lot to me because that's why I do the content. I do it because I enjoy it and I'm selfish because I like making content, but it's for change people's lives. So yeah, go and check it out, guys. Cool. I think I'm going to end it there because you guys have probably got to go eat as well. And it's 20 to 8. I still got to play that thing. I've got to play my guitar down there and play a bit of piano, have a bit of singing. So that's the plan. Hope you guys have a wonderful week ahead, wonderful evening, and stay safe. Make the most of your lives. You've got one life, one shot, so make the most of it. And check out my content. Appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support. And I'll say, Zaijian, arrivederci, bon voyage. Bye, guys. Zaijian. Bye-bye. Zaijian. Bye-bye.